Today we're going to be taking a look at the JBL 306 MK2 powered monitor speakers. These are well known. We're going to be doing some measurements, we're going to be doing some sound demos at the end, and we're going to test them out in my living room and here on my desk. Let's see how well they do. Before I even tried these out, I've heard so many things about these JBLs in the Budget Audiophile forum. Many places, they just keep talking about these JBLs, that they're the budget kings. And so before it was the JBL LSR 305s. So these are the newer version, the 305P, the 306Ps, which I'm reviewing today, and the 308Ps. All of them, even from the LSR series, had this crazy waveguide that we'll have to take a look at. Now, doing the unboxing of these, I did notice that these 306s are pretty big. They're bigger than I thought they were going to be, and they have some weight to them. It was a basic unboxing. It had a power cable, it had the manual, and the speakers themselves. That was about it. So let's take a look at the back here. You'll notice a plate app, and you do have options for balanced XLR or balanced 1/4 inch. These are active monitor speakers, so you'll notice a plate amp on each speaker. There are switches to adjust the high frequencies and low frequencies for your taste or your listening position. Build wise, I would say that these weren't the most impressive speakers as far as build quality. If I did the knuckle wrap on them, I did notice that they sounded a little bit resonant, but who knows, maybe they don't actually sound that way. As far as looks, personal preference, they're not my favorite looking speaker. I don't typically like stuff that looks plasticky, although some of my other speakers, they do have plastic on the front, but these just look plasticky. I mean, the shiny plastic is not my favorite look, and the waveguide, not the most attractive look, but that's all forgivable if it performs. So as far as initial listening, first things, start with a bass. They have bass, right? That's the thing. They have bass. It's a 6-inch driver, pretty large enclosure. I kind of expected that. Now, as far as mid-range, I know that these are studio monitor speakers, so I was expecting it to sound flat throughout, and there were some parts of it that sounded a little bit funny. Like I noticed that there were some pieces missing, which is something I definitely did not expect to hear from studio monitors. Now, this was in my living room initially, and what I noticed was in the living room, it did have a wide sweet spot. That's one thing I can definitely say is a sweet spot was nice and wide. No matter where I was, I kind of felt like I was right there in the middle. And I think that that is what the waveguide is supposed to do. That funny look is not for no reason. That's exactly the reason why they made it. Performs great off axis. The high frequencies, of course, these are studio monitors. You want them to reveal any issues, any problems with your recordings, and these definitely do that. Let's take a look at some specs. So these do have a 6.5-inch woofer, a 1-inch soft dome tweeter in that crazy looking waveguide. These are bi-amplified with 56 watts Class D going to the woofer and 56 watts also going to the tweeter. These have a claimed frequency response of 47 Hz to 20 kHz plus or minus 3 dB, and they claim a minus 10 dB of 39 Hz. Some of the other things that you can see here that we'll get back to later on is a signal to noise ratio of 75 dBA. These are rear ported, which I kind of prefer to have a front ported for desktop listening, just because I do have to put them close to the walls. So I also did some in-room mic measurements using my calibrated mic and REW software. Let's go take a look and see how they performed. All right, so this is the JBL in-room, and the first thing I noticed is this dip here at around 1.4 kilohertz. What is going on here? There's a dip. That's kind of what I was noticing during my initial listening tests, and this is the crossover point. So I looked it up on their manual, and it's crossover right about here. And it should not be doing this at that crossover point. Something a little bit concerning, considering that these are supposed to be monitor speakers. They're supposed to be very accurate. And if you're playing some notes that fall within that region, well, you might have some sort of issue. Now, I thought that it might just be this speaker. I tested another one in the same exact location, and as you can tell, it still had the same behavior. I even looked online, some other people who did some similar measurements, and they noted the same thing with the 306s. The other thing that I thought was interesting is that the 305 and the 308 have different crossover points than the 306. So, kind of interesting. The other thing to notice is that there is a channel imbalance here. So one of the speakers actually was lower than the other by a significant amount, even though they were in the same exact location, and I had the dial set the same on both amplifiers. So you cannot trust the dial there. You have to use some sort of measurement tool to ensure that they're both level matched. Here are some other measurements that I did to just make sure that this dip wasn't because of my mic placement or the placement of the speaker. I did test the off-axis response, and as you can tell, it stays very consistent throughout, and that means that the waveguide is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Since it's rear ported, I had to measure that separately, and let's see what that helps with regards to bass extension. It has a -3 dB point of about 49.9, so around 50 hertz in my room, a -6 dB point of 35 hertz, and a -10 dB point of around 30 hertz. So that's good. That's better than what they claim on their website of 39 hertz at -10 dB. I'm seeing 30 hertz. That could be the way that it's interacting with my room, but as you see here, sometimes you can use that to your advantage if you want a little bit more bass. All you have to do is put the speakers closer to your wall. All right, so with regards to how these sounded here at my desk, which is where most people are going to use them, what I noticed was they have a good amount of bass. The mid-range was good until I noticed that dip. There was some ranges there that seemed to be missing with certain vocals, and I verified that with my measurement. As far as the highs, the details, the imaging, all that is good. You want speakers like this to be revealing so you can see any issues that you have in any recordings, and it definitely does do that. Very detailed, so I'm impressed with the top end on these, except for that crossover point. Now, as far as imaging, these are kind of known for imaging, right? That waveguide is supposed to help with that. And what I noticed was here at my desk, it actually was a little tougher than I was used to with other speakers to get in that sweet spot. And I think it's because I was less than about 4 feet away. And so I have the speakers pretty close. And what I noticed is if I did back up maybe 5-6 feet away, then that effect of that waveguide was very helpful. It made the sweet spot, the center image, very wide. But if you're too close to the speakers, it's almost like that waveguide seemed like it could be detrimental. It's kind of funny that these seem to perform better for me in my living room when I was further away from them than here near field where you would expect to use them. The other thing I have to talk about with these JBLs is the noise floor. With studio monitors, the amplifier is always on, which means you might have them turned up halfway, 75, maybe even 100% in certain cases. Amplifiers, any amplifier will have some sort of hiss. Some of the better ones have less hiss. And the JBL, the LSRs, were kind of known to be a little bit hissy. And I was wondering if they had fixed it with these MK2s. And I was a little bit disappointed to notice that these do have audible hiss, something I could notice, and it wasn't pleasing. I often work late at night and it's very quiet here, and I hear hiss even if there's no sound coming from the speakers. Well, there is sound, and it's the hiss sound. I filmed with my GoPro to kind of give you an idea how these sound compared to those Hercules Monitor 5s that I had, and take a listen to them. They're both at 50%. Okay. So here's this one. And also notice the sound when I have this close to the port. Not only is it high frequency noise, it's also getting some low frequency rumble coming out of there. Here I have the calibrated mic showing what the frequency of the sound is, so you can kind of see it's mostly high frequency. I wanted to make sure that it wasn't the connection, so I disconnected the connection. I'm using a balanced 1/4 inch to these speakers, and it's still making that sound. Yeah, I think it's just a noisy amplifier. So at the end of this video, I'm gonna have a sound demo for all of you guys who are into that sort of thing, and stick around at the end of the video. Right now, let's take a look at the speaker leaderboard and see how these place. Okay, so here we have the JBL 306P MK2s. These are powered speakers, and as powered speakers go, they need to have an amplifier. But one of the things I look for when it comes to powered speakers is flexibility, ability to use it in different places and to connect it to different sources. Now, these are made for studio monitors, so they do need to be connected to an interface. And because of that, I would place them lower than I would, just because it's not only about sound when it comes to powered speakers, it's about flexibility for me. And so take this speaker leaderboard with a grain of salt. It's just a way for you to kind of get an idea of my thought process. So powered speakers, so sound-wise, I would say that they sound about equal to the AI60s, in some ways better. So the top end accuracy, all that is better on the 306s. But the AI60s, they do a lot of good things when it comes to bass, but they also do some stuff that compresses the sound. So I would say I would put these 306s right here above the AI60s, although the AI60s do have more options. So keep that in mind. These are all very close, and so the more speaker reviews I do and the better that these guys keep making their speakers, the tougher this is actually for me. Now, it also fits into the bookshelf category. Bookshelf also has passive speakers. Let's see here. We have the Hercules Monitor 5s, AI60s. I'm going to go ahead and put these right here below the Hercules Monitor 5s, just because they do serve a similar purpose. Yeah, let's leave it there. Best for desktop, I would say that these JBLs are made for the desktop. These are the 306s. They also make 305s and 308s with a smaller and larger driver. And these are just in the middle. Still, for me, I think they're a little bit big for my desk. I would say I would probably prefer the Vanitus to these. So I'm going to go ahead and put that right there. And so for a pair of these, it's going to come in at maybe around $300, depending on whether they're on sale or not. I'm going to go ahead and put these JBLs at a desk, best under $500. I'm going to go ahead and put them right there above the AI60s. Okay, and last, best overall sound quality regardless of price. Sound quality, this is going to be a tough one. These 306s impressed me more in a living room than they did at my desk, maybe because I'm sitting closer than they expect. But for me, I think I would rather have the Vanitus, just sound quality wise, just the Vanitus. SVS Prime, I'm going to have to put these a little bit lower with regards to overall sound quality. I really like those FS52s. Yeah, so they're going to fit in right here between the ELAC F5.2s and the Fluence AI60s. So there you have it. Let me know if you agree with my conclusion. So these are very popular speakers. I can understand why people like them, but I did have issues with hiss. I did have an issue of something going on at the crossover point there, and maybe I'm the only one. Maybe JBL, if you guys want to correct me, I will update and leave, I'll pin something in the comments saying what the correction was. But as far as my findings, that's what it is. I've talked to other people in the Budget Audiophile group that I'm a moderator on, and they said that they have the 306s. They don't notice any hiss. So it just might be, dependent on how quiet your room is, how sensitive your ears are to that sort of thing. It just depends. Overall, I would say if you can find these on sale, I'll leave a link in the description to them on Amazon. Take a look. Sometimes they go on sale on Amazon, other websites. So if you're interested in these, keep an eye out for those sales. I know that these are designed for near field use, but in my case, my conclusion is I think these might be more suitable for a living room situation because I got better imaging when I was further away. When you're further away, you won't hear some of that hiss that I'm complaining about because you're not so close to the speakers. And so maybe in some ways, these might be a good budget option if you don't want to have an amplifier, maybe as a soundbar alternative. I don't know. So anyway, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when I upload new videos. So I want to give a shout out to my Patreon supporters. You guys allow me to do what I do here on my channel. And so again, thank you to you guys. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon supporter, patreon.com/JoeAndTell. Anyway, that's it. Stick around for the sound demo. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hard working every day, I'm stressed out 24/7, babe.